Better at Chess Nation. What's going on? Today's day 8 of my 30-day daily chess puzzle challenge. So, today, let's see. If you missed last week, we went over different checkmates. Basic checkmates, maiden 1, maiden 2, maiden 3, back rank. Yeah, just a whole bunch of different checkmates. So this week we're gonna switch it up, and let's see. So I'm gonna work on defense today, pawn promotion, stalemate, and yeah. So we'll cover those things. So I do want to stick to stuff I've covered already, just because it is easier for me to kind of go into detail on those stuff. I mean, I can explain some other stuff such as forks, pins, and all the other tactics and stuff. But specifically for this challenge, I want to focus on stuff I've already touched on. So once the challenge is over, I'll continue on with my tactics and strategy series, which will go into detail about a whole bunch of different things. And then once I touch on that, I'll probably do another 30-day challenge after a while, and then I can touch on those puzzles. So, all right, so let's begin. Thank you for each and everybody tuning in today. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe, like the video, leave a comment below. Tell me what you enjoyed about the video and what you didn't enjoy about the video, or if you have any ideas, or are you looking for a specific topic that you are looking for somebody to go over. Leave it in a comment below. If it's something I can do, I will definitely do it. All right, let's get it started. Okay, so so it is black to move, and we have to be very careful here. It's tempting, looking at this bishop, to just take this rook. However, if we take the rook, it will be a stalemate, because the bishop will now be here, and the bishop already controls this diagonal, right? This rook controls right here, and this square right here is controlled by the king. White would have no place to go. So we want to avoid stalemate when possible. So I think we will just do a check right there. Okay, yep. And then the king will most likely go here, but once the king moves, because in this case the king will have to move. The king has no choice. The king has to move either here or here. So once the king moves, they'll probably move closer to the bishop, or maybe they'll just move there, and then you bring that bishop down to take that rook. All right, so let's go to the next one. Okay, so let's count how many square. Okay, so this one has to do with promotion. So we see white just took one of our pawns. So and this will be something I touch on later, even though I know I said I was going to do that. However, let's say you were right here, right? Say the pawn was right here instead of right here. So not too much of a big difference, but just for this example, that's the case, right? If it in this position as is, the only difference is the pawn is here, the king is still here. If it is white's turn to move, white will get to this square and promote. If it is black's turn to move, and say black jumps here, the king will catch the pawn as it gets here, and eventually on the next move will promote. Will take the pawn before it promotes, and that's all because it's within the promotion square. So promotion square usually looks something like this. So you count how many squares the pawn has to move till it gets to a square it can promote to. All right. Then what you want to do, you'll know immediately if you will be able to catch the pawn or not. Again, if the pawn was here on this square right here, this square just unhighlighted, it's going to take, and it's black's turn, it will take 1, 2, 3. It's going to take 4 moves, or 3 moves to get to this square. If it's black's move to go, black is stepping into the same square as the pawn, and it'll take them 3 moves to get to this square, just like it'll take this pawn 3 moves to get to this square. However, if the pawn is here and it's white's move to go, then black's king will always be a square away from promoting. So, and it's kind of the same thing here. Let's see, I want to say the right move here is to move this pawn up. So it's good that this king and pawn aren't, black's king and this pawn aren't lined up. So, and they're each 3 squares away here. So what's gonna happen here, I believe, is that white will be able to, both white and black will promote. Black will promote first, white will promote second. But since black is able to promote first, they'll be able to use their queen first to attack and gain an advantage before white can. So, let's see if that's right. Okay. Yep, and there it is. So black's queen promoted first. White is of course going to promote second, but that won't matter because black's queen is now going to start attacking the king and start gaining a counterattack here. So doing what it can to attack black's king. So all right, so let's go to the next one. Okay. So this one, let's see here. Okay, so black's king is here. Black's rook is right here. They want to stay lined up with this pawn because the second that rook moves, this is promoting to a queen, maybe a rook. It depends on what it needs to promote to. So so what white needs to do is what white needs to do, and what I'm thinking here is this rook actually comes here. So black's king decides to move here, right behind this rook. So if this rook comes here, this rook can't move to attack this pawn. And then you could, the rook would have 2 options. The rook would black would have 2 options. Black would either have to take this pawn, freeing up this square to promote, or black would move the king here. You take the rook, and then the king won't be able to take this pawn, but the rook is unprotected, so it can take this rook. However, you still promote next move. So that's what I'm thinking here. Let's see. Okay, that's exactly what it is. So the king is in check, and the king is gonna move. I don't know where the king is gonna move, but the king is gonna try to move as close to the rook as it can. So if the king moves here, white will be tempted to go here. White will probably, black will probably bring this rook in front, and then white will have to keep finding a way to check the king, where they can kind of gain more space and more material until eventually, hopefully, if they can take away the rook, that'd be great. But if not, if they can get a checkmate, that'd be even better. So, all right, so that's how that works. Okay, so this looks just like the checkmates some of the checkmates we've seen. So black decided it was best to move from this square to here. So all white needs to do is to move the queen here. Let's see, the knight is attacking this, attacking that square and attacking this square right here. So this queen is lined up on one of those squares that white is already attacking with the knight. So that means if the queen were to go to this square, it would have protection from the knight. So the queen would just jump to that square. That's checkmate. Pretty simple. Okay. Alright, so it looks like the king and queen. Okay, so white's queen is trapped in a pin here. So this bishop is pinning this queen to the king, which means this queen cannot move without putting the king in check. So, and you can never put yourself in check. So if you have to make a move and it's going to involve putting yourself in check, you can't make that move. You have to protect the king at all times. So what do we have here? Okay, so here's what I see. So this bishop is here. Like white could take this bishop, and black's queen has 2 options. It can go for this rook, or it can just take the queen back. Now, the queen going for the rook is tempting, but is a bad idea. Well, let me see. I would think it'd be a bad idea just because, okay, the queen gets the rook, but now the queen that is here goes towards, excuse me, this bishop right here. Now the king is in check. And the king has to move here, and then you can snatch up its rook. Or you could, what else can you do here? I guess, you know, once this queen has moved here and black sides take your rook, you could always just castle, and then this rook will come this way. Well, you know, it'd be on the outside now. And then black will have to figure out, okay, well, now my bishop's in danger. What am I going to do? So, I want to make sure I consider all options here. I mean, you can do that, but again, black is just going for that rook. I would think doing that is the best option, because if the queen does decide to just take that, you just take back. So you've lost a queen and a pawn, while your opponent has lost a bishop and a queen. So let's start there. Okay, and they decided to do that. So they lost one bishop, they took your rook, and then you went for their other bishop. So you got two of their bishops, and they got a rook. So point-wise, you lost 5 points with the rook. They lost 6 points because each bishop is worth 3. And then the black's king is going to have to move here. And then they're going to lose their rook. So, yeah, so now, you know, black just gained a rook, but they also lost 2 bishops and a rook. Okay, what do we have here? Okay, so this is very interesting right here. Here's what's going on. So this knight is pinned to the queen. So this bishop is attacking the knight, and then this knight right here is more than likely going to try to take this knight. Next move. So that's 2 attacks launched at this one piece, and only protection. I mean, the queen is protecting it, and the pawn is protecting it. But you know, if you wanted to kingside castle, you know, you can't do that anymore because you have very little protection on this side of the board. So. What else do we have? What are our other options here? Okay, and then this knight is being attacked by the queen and this pawn right here. Or I'm sorry, the bishop and the queen are attacking this knight. Okay, so now we need to figure out, okay, well, what should black do here? And of course there's a threat of check, but right now that's not really a good move. I mean, black could surprise, or white could surprise black by taking a knight, then coming back with check. And then maybe using this, you know, knight right here to capture the, let's see, if that were to happen. Well, actually, you know what? Yeah, if that were to happen, black will have to decide, okay, what are they going to do? Are they going to let this free queen sit here, or are they going to take the knight? More than likely, they will take the queen because it's a queen. From there, white they'll have a check right there. The king will, maybe move there? I don't know. Okay, so, I feel like I'm overthinking this a little bit. You could just move that pawn up. That comes there. You can do that. Or the queen would have to move, because queen is not going to take this knight because it's protected by this pawn. So that knight would love to come in there, put the king in check, you take the pawn. Okay, I'm gonna try the knight move. Okay, that was it. Okay, got it. So doing the knight move, that went there, the king is in check. You do that. Yeah, okay. So moving this knight here, put pressure on the queen right here. And then of course this knight can come here and put you in check. So you do that, then you take that knight, and then now it's okay, well, what is black to do? All right, black can take, threatening your queen. However, this knight comes here, put in the king in check. This knight will probably take, then your queen will jump here, take that bishop. So black loses his queen, white keeps his queen, or white keeps his queen and loses his bishop. So black will have to decide, because there's two attacks pointing at black, and they, in this case, they can't defend them both. So a piece is getting taken. It's going to be, is your queen getting taken or is your bishop getting taken? Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, so okay, got it. Okay, so this is a interesting one. So the queen comes here to attack white's king. Jeez, white's king. So there are several ways white can, try to defend this attack. So the best thing to do, well, first, you kind of look at where your pieces are. Like, it's easy to just maybe move your king over, or maybe, put your queen there because you think, okay, well, I can put my queen there, then that's protecting it. Or, well, both of those options aren't, they're not really helping you, right? The thing you can do, sorry, there was a little noise going on. I was trying to figure out, okay, where's that coming from? All right, so the best option to me right now, and initially it might not look like it, is this. It's not moving the king. It's not moving the king over, right? The king, you can't castle out a check, so the king would not be able to move 2 spaces and get the rook over here and castle. It can only go to this square right here. So what I would do is, looking where my queen is and my bishop is, if I move this bishop anywhere, the king is in check, right? So looking at the board is like, okay, I want to put the king in check, but is there a square I can put the king in check? So moving the bishop here does 2 things. It reveals the check, because once the bishop moves, that's a discovered check. And discovered check is when a piece is blocking a piece that will check the king. So for instance, this bishop was blocking the attack of the queen. Once the bishop moves, your opponent discovers the check behind it. So, and as you play more and kind of see that more, you'll see like your opponent might move a piece and say check, and then you look at the piece that they move and it's like, okay, wait, the piece isn't attacking me. And that's because the piece behind it is attacking you. So that's the discovered check. So moving this bishop did 2 things. It blocked the check, this threat from the queen, and it also put the king in check. Now the king moved over here. Now this queen could jump here. That's checkmate. Okay, so this is very interesting. A nice little setup on the board here. Okay. So black is in a lot of danger right here. So the white's king moved from this square here to here. What black has to look out for is, checks. And, this is a check I see, whether by the rook or by the queen. But they might do the rook first, and then black's king has to move. And, having 2 power pieces like the queen and rook on one side of the board, like this close to your king, it's gonna be a stressful situation. So, but white was in check and they had to move out of check. So that means it's actually black's turn to move. So black can move here and have this nice little check right there. And the thing is that the king is going to be in some serious trouble no matter where it moves, right? So if, let's say, black's king moved there, then white delivers a check here. This queen will have to come down, but nothing's protecting that queen, so black's queen could take white's queen, and that's checkmate. If white decides to move the king here, well, this queen just jumps to this square right here. That's checkmate. It's being backed up by the pawn. So essentially, white is going to get checkmated next move, no matter what white does. So let's see how it plays out. They do that. Okay, they decide to move to the corner. You come down there, that queen comes down. You take the queen, that's checkmate. Alright, let's do one more. Okay, so black just moved. So it is now white's turn to move. Okay, so this, have the thing about endgames is that it usually comes down to a few pieces by each side, and each piece you have to play very carefully if you want to win the endgames. There are a lot of different piece endgames. Like I have to look at how common this is, but there are a lot of different piece endgames that have been studied for years upon years, and they can mathematically calculate, okay, this is going to be a draw automatically, or this, one side could win. So in this case, white can win, but white has to play very carefully. So let's look at the immediate weaknesses here. So black just moved their knight here, so their knight is attacking our knight and this pawn. If black takes our pawn, we have no chance at a checkmate. It's going to be a stalemate. And then not only that, but we'll have to take the knight back. But then this pawn, well, actually no, this pawn is going to go this way. So black will have a pawn, but more than likely the way it's coming down is black is going to take this pawn, white will take that knight. This pawn is going to be gone sooner or later, but either way it's going to come down to a king versus a king and a knight, and nobody can win that game, so it's going to be a draw. But white could take this knight. Black is more than likely going to take the knight back. You take black's remaining pawn, that way they don't have a chance to get in checkmate. Then they're probably going to come over here towards your pawn, and then after you've taken this pawn, you don't want to move this up first. If you do, this pawn will just take back, and then again you're in a stalemate draw situation. Then since your king is here, now you move this pawn up, and now black can't do anything to stop that pawn from promoting. Black will be here, your king will be here, and this pawn will be right here. So black will never have the opportunity to get in front of your pawn to stop it from getting to the square. Instead, black is going to lag behind and probably eventually try to move to a different side of the board, just so they don't get checkmated quicker. But that's essentially what it's coming down to here. So we take the knight first, white takes the black's remaining pawn. Black is going to try to do something, whether it's come here or come here. More than likely they'll probably go here. You move that pawn up, that's check. They'll have to go here or here. You move the pawn up again. If they decide to come back to this square, you move that pawn one more time to become a queen. Then black is on its way to, black has to run away. And then you can use your queen to limit the squares black can go to and keep it on one side of the board. So now you can start bringing your king in to help with the attack. And then you play right, you play smart, you can get a checkmate. So, and then, what black is going to be looking for. They're going to be trying to move on different squares of the board so they can get a stalemate. The queen is very powerful because the queen moves like a rook and a bishop. So the queen can take up a lot of squares. So black is going to play to moving towards a square where the queen is taking up a lot of squares. However, if they don't move the queen again, say if, actually, let's look at a quick situation. I have a little bit of time, right? You guys got time? Great. All right. So we start off by that. Black's gonna do that. Then you do that. I would say, let's say black goes here. Like, you move your pawn up, that's check. Black has to move. Black can go there if it wants to. You move the pawn up again. Black can't go here because of the king. So it has to go here, or it has to go here. So let's say it went up. You become a queen. Now black starts moving this way. All right, so right here, we can see that the queen is covering this much ground. So the king is essentially stuck in this nice little triangle right here. Well, not necessarily stuck. Like, if they choose to stay within this triangle that the queen is covering, then they're stuck over here. The more they move over here, the more the queen can move here, and the triangle gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So the king might try to go here instead. Now if they, let's play that out. So they go, is it not, whose turn is it? Is that all they're gonna let me? Okay, that's fine. But essentially, you know, if, you know, black's options, if they choose to stay within this triangle, are very limited and are going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. Now, if black gets towards this corner, and say the queen gets here, now the queen will be covering, if black is here and the queen gets here, the queen will cover that and cover that. If white's queen is, say, right here, and they decide to move up one to here, that's going to be a checkmate. I mean, that's going to be a stalemate, because, you know, black's king will have nowhere to go. Like, this king that's here is cutting off this square, and this square. You know, white's queen is right here cutting off this vertical. So, literally, black would have nowhere to go, and that would be a stalemate. Okay. But, so that's how that works. Yeah. So, this is day 8. We talked about stalemate, we talked about pawn promotion, and, yeah, so that's what I have for you guys today. So this week is what I'll, you know, these are the things I'll be focusing on: defense, pawn promotion, and stalemate. So in defense, will kind of get mixed in between pawn promotion and stalemate, just because defense is going to be something that you're playing throughout the game. It's more so what moves, you know, make the best defense for what you need to do next. So, you know, tip to remember, when you make a move, or when you want to make a move, to look and see what will change or what has changed. Especially when it comes to pawns. Because a pawn moving, remember, a pawn only moves forward, so if a pawn is controlling 2 squares, if it moves up and is only protecting those 2 squares, those are 2 squares your opponent can possibly go to in the right situation, since chess is situational. So, but yes, that's what I have for you guys. This is day 8. If you like the video, please hit that thumbs up button. You know, if you know somebody who would be interested in the video, please share it with them. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. I love my subscribers, and I want to get more content to them to help them become better chess players. What else? What am I missing? Oh, please leave a comment below and tell me your thoughts on this video. I want to make more content, more videos for you guys, for my audience. So that's all I have. Please do take care, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later.